Hello, everyone, and welcome back to a brand new episode of Midwest Sound, an Indiana show choir podcast brought to you by Homeroom Show Choir. Make sure you guys go check them out. I've said it a million times. They have tons of articles, they have rankings, everything show choir you could possibly want. It is on their website. So yeah, go give them a look. Also, Midwest Sound has an Instagram and also a YouTube. So if you have any friends, family members, any choir members that want to listen to the podcast but maybe don't listen through Spotify, then the season 4 episodes are actually available on YouTube for free. So go check that out as well. Everything is available there. And with that, that's basically all the heavy information I need to get over with at the beginning of the episode. So this past weekend, we had 4 Indiana competitions. We had Huntington North, we had Lafayette Jeff, we had Mooresville, and then we had Franklin Central. I was actually lucky enough that I got to attend the finals at Franklin Central, and I took some notes, so I'm going to talk about that a little bit later. But yeah, it was a really fun weekend. Some surprises, not too many though. And then looking ahead, we actually have the Avon competition. We have Churubusco, we have Jay County, New Palestine, we have Pendleton, and then I'm also in this episode going to talk a little bit about Glenwood, John Hersey, Fairfield, and Solon. Just because a lot of Indiana groups are actually traveling out of state this weekend. So I'm going to talk about a little bit about that later on. I'm just going to go over the lineups and give a quick grand champion prediction. But that is basically everything for an overview of this episode. So I really hope you guys enjoy, and make sure you guys are telling your friends about Midwest Sound. And with that, let's get straight into the episode. So, as I said, there were 4 Indiana competitions. I'm going to go ahead and begin with the Huntington North Midwest Showcase. So, this competition was a 2-day event. They had middle schools go on Friday night. So, top 3 in the middle school division, grand champion with best choreography was Churubusco New Generation. First runner-up with best vocals was Northridge Nightlights. And second runner-up was Maple Creek MC Singers. So congrats to them. So on the second day, on Saturday, they had the high schools go. There are some prelims placements listed, but for the treble division there aren't. So I'm just going to go ahead and tell you guys the groups that competed in prelims, and then go ahead and go over the groups in the treble finals. So in the treble prelims, the groups that competed were Northrop Allure, Northridge Starlights, Noblesville Sensation, Homestead Elite, Jay County Just Treble, Noblesville New Dimension, Westfield Illumination, and Columbia City City Lights. And then making it to treble finals in grand champion with best vocals was Westfield Illumination. First runner-up with best choreography was Homestead Elite, and second runner-up was Northrop Allure. So the groups that didn't make it were, it was Northridge Starlights, Noblesville Sensation, Jay County Just Treble, Noblesville New Dimension, and Columbia City City Lights. So that is how the treble division turned out at Huntington. I'm going to go ahead and move on to the mixed. They did have a large mixed division, medium mixed division, and small mixed division. A small mixed did not have the ability to make it to finals, I believe. So I'm going to go ahead and go over the small mixed division. First place went to Columbia City City Heat. Second place went to Kokomo Charisma Singers. Third went to Bishop Dwenger Summit Sound. And then there were 2 unplaced groups, that being Crestview Night Vision and Belmont Brave Generation. Then in the medium mixed division, these groups are now eligible for finals. First went to Churubusco New Era. Second went to Jay County Patriot Edition. And third went to DeKalb Classic Connection. Then in the large mixed prelims, first went to Noblesville NHS Singers, and second went to Homestead Class Royale. 2 of the unnamed or unplaced groups were Northridge Northern Lights and Northrop Charisma. Then making it to finals was all of the large mixed groups, and then they also took Churubusco, which was the top group in the medium mixed division. This competition's a little bit confusing. There's a lot of mixing and matching, but in finals, grand champion with best vocals and best choreography was Noblesville NHS Singers. First runner-up was Homestead Class Royale. Second runner-up was Northrop Charisma. Third runner-up was Northridge Northern Lights. And fourth runner-up was Churubusco New Era. So this is basically what I predicted. Noblesville taking the GC. They are really just one of the only extremely large groups at this competition, so it's not super surprising that they swept. Homestead is also one of the other larger schools. They are a Fort Wayne school. So that's also not super surprising. And then after that, everything just kind of falls into place. We've got Northrop, we've got Northridge, and then we've got Churubusco. So it honestly kind of goes in order of school size. I know Northrop is a little bit bigger, but other than that, I mean, it all sort of played out how you would have imagined. So moving on to the next competition, we have Lafayette Jefferson Extreme Show Choir Showdown. This competition was a one and done, so no finals or anything. So I'm just going to go ahead and start with the top three in the middle school division. First place with Best Vocals and Best Choreo went to Noblesville West Side Sound. Second went to Edgewood Junior High Mini Warehouse. And third went to Edgewood Junior High Sophisticates. So that's really exciting. Also continuing the trend for Edgewood Mini Warehouse and Sophisticates. I believe every single competition they've attended now, they have gotten second place, and I believe Sophisticates has gotten third right underneath them. So kind of interesting, hoping that they can break that trend soon. In the small treble division, first place with Best Vocals and Best Choreography was Franklin Community Sensations. Second was Edgewood Sophisticated Ladies. Third was Anderson Starlighters. Fourth was Norwell Night Stars. And fifth was Danville Contemporaries. And there were 4 unplaced groups. This was Southmont Sudden Impulse, Danville Executives, Decatur Central Expressions, and Franklin Community Legacy, which is their JV group. So interesting to see Franklin Community sweep. Congrats to them. Looking at the large treble division, first place with Best Vocals and Best Choreography was Lawrence North Bella Bravata. Second was North Central Deskins, and third was Columbus North North Stars. Interesting to see Columbus North compete in the large division, even though they are technically considered a smaller group, but a really cool end of their season because I do believe this was their last competition. That's a really exciting win for Bella Bravata, especially to place over a group like North Central, who's been doing so well this year. So yeah, just like an exciting win for them. Looking at Columbus North, not really anything crazy. They took third just because they are a small school. It's interesting to see them competing in the large division here, but still kind of played out how I thought, but a fun win for Lawrence North. Then in the small mixed division, first place with Best Vocals and Best Choreography was Franklin Community Heritage Singers. Second was Edgewood Music Warehouse. Third was Danville Delegation. Fourth was Anderson Stingers Unlimited. And there were 3 unplaced groups, that being Bishop Lore's Minstrels, Decatur Central Goldenaires, and Norwell Night Moves. Then, in the large mixed division, grand champion with Best Vocals and Best Choreography was North Central Counterpoints. First runner-up was Columbus North Vocal Point, and second runner-up was Lawrence North Legacy. So, taking a look at the small mixed division, Franklin Community, again, sweeping their division. Obviously, they are a really, really strong small group, and I think we need to start counting them into the equation whenever we're considering the small division, just because they really are truly one of the most fun groups to watch. I didn't get to see their show this year. I know it has some sort of like Ice Queen theme. I've seen a lot of pictures, but every single year they really dig into the story, and all of their kids like do a great job at facials, and they're really sharp with their choreography usually. And their vocals are really intricate for their size. So I really admire that about them, and I'm glad that they're finally getting their flowers and getting some recognition. Edgewood Music Warehouse taking second. I believe this is their highest placement of the season. It is, yes. They've had a rough season. I'll say that. It's not been great. This is also as my mother would say, my alma mater. So yeah, it's just interesting, but exciting for them to be able to place this high near the end of their season. They are going to be traveling to Fairfield this next weekend, which I will be talking a little bit more about later. And then Danville Delegation taking third, also one of their higher placements of the season. They took third at Southmont, they took second at Manteneau, and now they have third here. They're traveling to Avon next weekend, which I will also be talking a little bit about. Looking at the large division, North Central taking grand champion, not unexpected. That is what I thought. But Columbus North placing above Lawrence North. Yay! Like, this is a really, really good end to the season for Columbus North. Lawrence North is obviously a large division group. They compete regularly there. They have a ton of kids. I watched their group at their preview night earlier this season, and they were really good. They have a really fun show theme, and I'm sure for a group like Columbus North, who normally competes in the small or medium division, taking this win on their last competition is super exciting, and I think they should feel really proud. This has been such a good season for them. I think they've been one of the standout groups of this season, just because I don't want to say they're an underdog, because they've definitely they've taken that time to get better. They have definitely been on an incline throughout at least the entire time I was in high school. They were slowly getting better, and I believe it was freshman or sophomore year, they weren't ever really considered like a threat, I guess you could say. But then junior and senior year, it did start to become like, oh, we actually have to like watch out for them. They're getting really good. And then this year, obviously, one of their best years so far. And that's just so exciting for them. Taking a look at their season, they took first at Anderson, third at Edgewood, second at Fishers, first at Franklin Community, and second just now at Lafayette Jeff. So a really exciting end to their season. Lawrence North, I think this is an interesting placement for them. Like I said, they normally compete in the large division. They do have a Night at the Museum theme, so that's really cool. Taking a look, they've placed third at every competition they've went to this year, and I'm sure they're really looking forward to breaking out of that norm, I guess. They will be competing at Avon this upcoming weekend, so just something to look out for. And with that, I think that's about it for Lafayette Jefferson. Just a fun competition. I'm glad. Obviously, most of the first place schools were pretty predictable, but everything below that was really exciting to see and just to see how it played out. So the next competition is the Mooresville Spotlighter Invitational. So this competition did not have finals that I know of. Also, the placements are currently unlisted on showchoir.com, which is where I get most of my information. So I am going off of word of mouth. I'm not sure if this is totally accurate, but from what I've heard, in the large mixed division, Avon swept, took all the captions. I believe Castle placed second, and third was Pike, and I believe this was reflected in the treble division. I could be totally wrong, but this is just what I've been told. Taking a look at the medium and small mixed division, I'm not quite sure. I feel that New Palestine probably could have done a really good job. Maybe Danville Community. There's no information listed right now. So hopefully we're able to get that soon. But if you guys are curious about that, I'm sure in the next couple days it'll be listed on showchoir.com if you really, really want to know about that. Moving on to the fourth and final competition that took place over the weekend. It was the Franklin Central Hoosier Show Choir Classic. Now, this competition was a 2-day event. They had the medium mixed and medium treble go on Friday night, as well as the middle school. So I'm going to go ahead and talk about that really quickly. And then on Saturday, they did have finals, but Friday they didn't. So I'm just going to start with that. The medium mixed division grand champion with best vocals and best choreography was Roncalli Royal Rhapsody. First runner-up was Warren Central Connection. Second runner-up was Pendleton Heights Pendletones. Third runner-up was New Palestine Crimson Heat. And then two groups that were unplaced was Batesville Singers and Newcastle Red Hot Blues. A crazy, crazy placement lineup, if I can say so myself. Roncalli, that's not surprising. They swept, makes sense. Warren Central taking first runner-up. Congrats to them. Oh my gosh, that's so exciting. I mean, taking a look at their season so far, they competed at Fishers and they took second in the small mixed division. They didn't place at Homestead. We don't know how they placed at Franklin Community. And now they took second against some of the best, I would say, in my opinion, some of the better small mixed groups in the state. I mean, how exciting is that? And they won Best Show Design. I know last year they had a really fun show. I don't know. Warren Central can dance. Let me tell you that. They have so much groove, and every time I watch them dance, I'm just like, man, I wish every group could dance like this, because visually this is the most interesting and like exciting and fun group to watch. But vocally, that's where they sort of fall short sometimes. So obviously they didn't take best choreo or best vocals, but they still took that second place. So congrats to them. Pendleton Heights taking second runner-up. Oof. So I think Pendleton is sort of falling off this year. I think it's just an off year for them. It makes me feel slightly bad, but also every other year they've been like the second best in the state for forever. So they'll get back there eventually, but this year it really just isn't their year. Taking a look at their record so far, they took third at Fishers, they took second at Chesterton, they took third at Franklin, they took third at Franklin Central, and then they also competed at Ross on Saturday. So I'll talk a little bit about that in a second, but at Ross they did get their highest placement, so I'll tell you about that. Taking third runner-up, New Palestine, they have been on a roll this year as well. I mean, a great job to them. They took second at Plainfield, second at Center Grove, and fourth at Franklin Central. But still, like, a great placement for them compared to some of the groups that they're competing against. Taking a look at the small treble division, first place with best vocals and best choreography was Pendleton Heights Emerald Suites, not surprising. Second went to New Palestine Diamond Sensations, and third went to Newcastle Dynamics. Fourth also went to Warren Central Highlights. Interesting to see how these divisions do not mirror each other at all. So Pendleton taking first, obviously did not happen in the mixed division. New Palestine taking second. New Palestine took fourth in mixed, so not crazy far off. Newcastle placing. Crazy that Newcastle Red Hot Blues did not place in the mixed division, but exciting that Dynamics got something. And then Warren Central Highlights, who took second in the mixed division, taking fourth in the treble. Pretty interesting. For the middle school division, first place with best vocals and best choreo was Noblesville East Vocal Revolution. Second was Carmel Class Act, and third was Riverside Golden Harmony. So moving on to Saturday, this is the day that I was able to attend finals, but let's go ahead and talk about prelims a little bit. So they did not have the large mixed prelims listed, so that's not really a problem. The small mixed prelims, they did. So first place with best vocals and best choreography was Carmel New Edition, and second was Ben Davis 9th Grade Center Preview. As for the treble division, large treble, they didn't have that listed either. In the prep division, first place with best vocals and best choreography was Fisher's Rogue. Second was Brownsburg Bella Voce. Third was Plainfield Vogue. And fourth was Whiteland Community Iridescence. So exciting for them getting to compete. I know some of these prep divisions don't always get to travel with their larger brother and sister groups as much. But yeah, exciting. As for the finals, they did take 3 treble finalists and 4 mixed finalists. Now, I was able to watch every single group, and I also watched Franklin Central's mixed exhibition performance, so I'm going to also talk a little bit about that. But I'm going to go ahead and read off the placements for the treble finals, and then I'll talk about the shows. So, grand champion with best vocals, best choreography, and best show design was Fisher's Sound. First runner-up was Carmel Accents, and second runner-up was Plainfield Femme Fatale. So, let's talk about it. I personally don't 100% agree with these placements, and I also acknowledge the fact that I am a college student and I'm not a qualified judge, so my opinions are my opinions. But upon watching them, first glance, because I hadn't watched any of these shows yet, I tried not to know about the theme. I tried to stay away from videos because I knew I was going to be going to at least the finals at this competition, so I wanted it to all be like brand new. After watching them, I truly thought, this is crazy, I know, I really thought that grand champion was probably going to be like Plainfield or Carmel with a split caption possibly. But knowing Fisher's reputation, I knew that there was probably going to be a draw to them being grand champion. And also maybe it's because I watched the first 2 and then I was like, okay, I'm getting bored. And then I watched Fisher's and I was like, But I really don't feel like that's how I felt. I truly do think that after Carmel and after Plainfield, I was like, man, those are really, really good shows. And then I watched Fisher's and I was like, I feel like there was more to be desired. You know, it felt like there should have been something more. But with that, I'm going to tell you my notes on each show because I took notes after each performance. The first group that went was Plainfield Femme Fatale. So I said in my notes, it's another New York City theme. Similar to North Central, but I do think that the way they did the show was a lot better. The way they formatted it and the things they talked about just fit better. They had pretty clean choreography, but it was sort of flowy, so it was hard to be sharp. So I think that's obviously not the girls' fault. That is a choreographer thing, and even then, like, you can choose to do flowy choreography. It's just not always going to be super sharp. They had lots of sound. It was literally like blasting in there. And also props to Franklin Central for their sound system and stage and everything. Like, that was great. I really, really liked the setup of this competition. I also said the soloists were really good, but I think that they showed off too much too early. And by that, I mean that their soloists could sing. They could sing the house boots down, you know, like Slay the House Down, boots. But No, I think that when I say they showed off too much too early, there were certain solos that were like in the middle of a song, and they would like totally riff and go way up in their register, and it was like, wow, that's amazing. And they would get a huge applause, and then they would come back in at the end of the song, and it wasn't as exciting. And I think maybe they should have held off until the end, but it's a solo, so you can do whatever you want. I also said they had cool short songs that kept the show moving. It was never really stagnant. I felt like some of the medleys were cool, but I never really knew what was coming next. So it kind of felt like a little bit shocking whenever it would move to another song. And I was like, oh, we're going there. Oh my gosh, another one, But all the songs really fit the show. So I thought that was good. I also said the closing medley was a little bit confusing. That was probably the one that not shocked me, but jolted me the most. And then I also said they did a super cute New York like blocking at the end. So they end their show with the girls in the letters in Y, which I thought was really cute. Moving on to Carmel, they were the second girls group to compete. They had a really cool horoscope theme. So it was like a star horoscope, like choose your destiny kind of theme. Oh my gosh, I think that is so original. I do not know how they didn't win Best Show Design because I thought that was so cool. And I mentioned that they had a super cute backdrop. It had like stars, and they had a wheel that had all of the signs, symbols on it, and it would like spin. I thought that was so cool. I'd never seen a group do something like that, and I appreciate Carmel going out of their way to do something like that. I think their opener was probably my least favorite number of the show, just because it didn't fit the vibe, I think, and it was more ballady and slow, but the rest of their numbers were really good. I really enjoyed them. They had a really long, fun, and like dynamic second number. I thought that showed off a lot of their skill really well. All three costumes were really cute, and they fit the theme super well, and I think they were some of my favorite costumes of the day, honestly. I also really liked the ballad medley, and they used Great Expectations from The Outsiders in their ballad. And you should have seen me, guys. I was literally like, my mom came with me to this, and they started singing that, and I looked at her, and I was like, oh my God. Oh my God. Because if you guys didn't listen to last week's episode, last weekend I went to Chicago, and I watched The Outsiders, and The Outsiders has been like one of my favorite musicals since it came out. And I literally, the day they released the cast album, I was listening to it, and oh my God, it's so good. It's so good. I'm so glad it won that Tony. But no, I'm so happy they used Great Expectations, because that's one of the songs that I really want to use as a ballad once I become a show choir director. I just think it's so good. It's so good, and the way they did it, I'm like finger clapping right now, you guys can't see, but props to them. They did really well, and I really like the way that it was used. I will say the solos felt short and choppy. That's obviously not the girls' fault. Also, they used Golden from K-Pop Demon Hunters. The quintet during the costume change was okay, but the mics, I feel like, distorted their balance. I think if I was just listening to them, like their raw sound without like going through a mic system or anything, I think it would have sounded a lot better. Also, shout out Lena. She was in my SCA group, and I saw her in there, and I was like, yes, queen. I haven't talked to her for a while, but she did great. And that's about all I had on Carmel. And then the last group to go was Fisher Sound. So I said, so it's like an Anastasia theme? Question mark. I'm not totally clear on what it was, because doesn't matter. Also, they had a lot of the same two soloists, and obviously, like, it's a story show, and it had a little bit of talking, not a ton, so it was bearable. But it was a really story-heavy show, and I feel like I got a little bit confused as the story went on, but they kept using the same two soloists that were, like, the main characters, and it did get a little bit boring at some points, and you could tell that the girls themselves were getting, like, really worn out, because they were on stage a ton, they were doing all the choreo and everything, and then they would have to sing. And I mean, normally that's just how show choir works, but when you have a group like Sound or some of these bigger schools, you can have people that rotate in and out of the show. But these girls did not. They were on there the whole time. I also said opening vocals were a little bit lackluster, just the first half of the show. They seemed to lose diction when they got quieter. The songs were fun, but I just feel like nothing was super stand out about their show. And that's maybe why it felt a little flat for me. I said their choreography was flowy as well. And some parts I could tell were definitely really hard for them to clean. Not that it was bad. I think they did a really good job of cleaning it. But I could tell ooh, they like this would have been hard to fix if it was messy. Also, they did Running Up That Hill from Stranger Things, and I thought that was so fun. I think it was really well done. Their skirtography was really well done. I really liked how they used those long skirts. They reused their 6 costumes, which are cute, but I don't necessarily think they fit the show theme. It just felt a little bit shocking to see them in like these like old vintage dresses, you know, like the long ones from it's probably like 1700s. I don't know, guys. I'm not good with history, but then all of a sudden they came out in this like 6 costume. It's all sparkly and like neon colors, and I'm like, oh, that's a lot, but okay. But yeah, that's just, those are my notes on the treble division. I do understand Fisher's Sound taking grand champion. I just don't know if that's how I would have scored, like personally, but you know, it is what it is. Not my decision. So, then moving on to the mixed finals. So in the finals, grand champion with best vocals and best choreography was Carmel Ambassadors. First runner-up with best show design was Fisher's Electrum. Second runner-up was Brownsburg Spotlight Singers and Company. And third runner-up was Plainfield Ballet Beau. So I'm going to go ahead and talk about my notes on this. Plainfield performed first. So first, straight off the bat, they had an America theme, which I thought it was kind of ironic that they were performing that specifically yesterday. But you know, whatever. I will say they had some of my favorite costumes of the whole competition. I think they were amazing, especially their second costumes. Oh my gosh, whoever designed those, oh my, get it. Those were cute. Those were really good. Also, they started off with really strong vocals, but I noticed they struggled with some of the onsets and the cutoffs. There were moments where a certain voice or a couple voices would stick out whenever they started a phrase too early, or a couple voices would stick out whenever they didn't cut off on time. And I'm sure that played into their vocal score, just because unless you really are thinking about it, it's not super noticeable, but it was happening, and I was like, I was really picking up on it. I was like, oh, I feel bad, because like, get your cutoff, please. But either way, they were vocally really, really strong and very loud, same as their treble group. But it was just, you could tell there were little bits and pieces that made you realize like, oh, this isn't totally cohesive. They used 2 Outsider songs, which I was freaking out about. They did Trouble, and then they used Hopeless War, and oh my gosh, guys, I was about to cry. Like, I'm so happy that yes, Outsiders musical. I'm so happy that people are using it, especially like bigger schools like Plainfield and Carmel. Like, yes. I don't know. I was really happy to hear some of these songs performed, because this is what I want to do with some of my future choirs. Also, both costumes were super cute. Already said that. The guy's number was really fun, and the choreo was super hype. I enjoyed that a lot. Also, the guy with the mullet that was like on front and center the whole time, and he also had the ballad duet. Oh my god. He was a star performer in my heart. I hope he got it, because he was busting it down. Man, he can dance. Sorry, I don't even know if he listens to this podcast, but like, goodness gracious, he was really going at it. Yeah. If you can find a video or something, I definitely recommend going to watch, because that is what I call a star performer. He was eaten down. Like, it was great. I did say the choreo was decently clean, but there weren't a lot of like ripples and add-ons or anything. So, like, it was good, but it was a little bit boring, except for the guy's number. I will also say that the ballad girl soloist, oh my god, she was amazing. She was so good. She had this the most clear, beautiful tone. It was amazing. So good. Also, they had kind of a weird random solo in the closer, and I felt that was a little disjointed. Also, interesting that the girls represented Britain and the boys were like the colonies that came to America. And yeah, that's about it. So I wrote another sentence, and I don't know what I was trying to say. I said this group also had USA. Oh, I know what I was trying to say. They ended their show in the letters USA, like how their treble group ended in Y. And I was like, oh, it's cute. But it was also like, oh, they did it too. So I think it kind of took away a little bit from the effect both groups just because it was like, it was really cool when one group did it and then the second group did it, and I was like, oh, so maybe it's just a choreographer. I don't know. It is what it is. Next group that performed was the Brownsburg Spotlight Singers and Company, and this is probably my favorite group that performed of the day. Now, I do agree with their placement, I would say, but it was, entertainment-wise, my favorite. So I started off with, they had a really cool theme. It was Hotel California. They did sing Motel California, but they changed the word to hotel. And it was basically just about this like hotel that this couple goes to, and they get there and the guy's like, this is creepy, I feel like we shouldn't be here, and the girl's like, no, it's fine. And then all the people that are staying at this hotel basically like put her in a trance or like make her want to stay. Basically it was just like, he was like, hey, I want to leave, and she was like, no, like everything's fine, let's stay. And then they made her like forget that she loved him or that she was with him, and I thought that was really cool. And the songs that they used were really, really smart. And then eventually they escape, and she remembers that she loves him, and they're like running away through the woods, and then the people from the hotel find them and they capture them and they bring them back, and I assume they kill them. And now the couple also have to stay at the hotel forever. It was really cool, and I really, really enjoyed that there wasn't a ton of talking, so that I was still able to understand the story. And I think the way that they used their screens was really not innovative. I mean, they always use their screens pretty well, but I think the way that they did it specifically for this show was really smart and really helped convey like the story. So going back to my notes, I really liked how the costumes didn't necessarily go together. They were a little bit mismatched, wonky, but that makes so much sense because all these people that are at the hotel are like from different time periods, and all this, wouldn't go together. So I thought that was really cool. Fun twist on Motel California into Hotel California. Already said that. They basically had no solos except for the costume change trio. And I thought that was really interesting because they did have their two main characters, which were like the guy and the girl, I'm assuming their husband, wife. But they didn't ever have solos. They just had dance solos, but even then, like, it wasn't anything crazy. Also, the bellboy and bellgirl did have solos, but it was more so talking and less singing. That was most of the talking that was done in the show, but it wasn't like lines or anything. They were just like saying the words in the song. So like, that's okay. But yeah, I thought it was interesting that they didn't have that many solos, and I did appreciate it, actually. I think it definitely fit into their show with the fact of like all the people are there dead at the hotel, I said they used their screen well. Their choreo fit their theme and their story really, really nicely. I think especially in their closer, you could tell that their choreographer put a lot of thought into how he wanted them to dance and how it fit with the songs, and I appreciate that. Like, that was, I could tell, and it was really nice. Their vocals were really strong, and I enjoyed that, but they weren't super versatile when they were singing, so they didn't have a ton of dynamics. They didn't change their tone a ton, so it just felt like they were singing at like a forte for a lot of the show. And I mean, that can get you points, but I think maybe that's sort of where they fell short on the rubric, is probably in their vocals. Moving on, the next group that competed was Carmel Ambassadors. I really, really enjoyed their show. This is probably my second favorite show of the day, and I think it's a pretty basic show. It's not anything crazy. It's just about like a road trip on Route 66 to Hollywood, and I don't know, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was just classic show choir. I mean, Carmel normally does a pretty good job at just sticking to like classic, but it was fun. I really enjoyed it. So beginning with my notes, cute costumes. I enjoyed them. I did say talking, sad face. I'm sad that they included talking in their show. I did say the choreography is what really, really stood out to me in this show. It was so detailed, and it fit the songs and the style so well. And they are choreographed by Dwight Jordan, so it makes sense why I really love their choreography. It's so original, but also so just classic show choir. And they do it so well, like so well. Dwight puts so much style into their choreography and so many details in footwork specifically, and I can really, really admire that about them, because they are able to regurgitate that basically, or like put that out on stage, and you can see them intentionally making these style choices in the movement of their body and just everything that they're doing. It's so good. It's so good, guys. Like, I was talking to my mom about this on the way back to my house last night, but the top two that I think everyone can agree are Carmel and Center Grove, in Indiana at least. Center Grove has this specific kind of style and just quality about them that's super, like, professional. So whenever you see them on stage, you kind of feel detached a little bit. I mean, obviously you feel really in that story, but it's also sort of just like you are the audience in this. And as you're watching, you're like, wow, this is crazy. Like, they're so good. There's a whole wall of sound thing that everyone talks about. And then, like, choreographically and musically, like, especially with the band and the arrangements, it's very, like, it seems out of grasp. It seems like you could never do something like this, I guess. And that I really appreciate it. That's why they are one of the best in the state and probably even in the country. But I think with Carmel, there's something so real about them, like something so happy. Like, I don't even know how to explain. I think you see them on stage, and with Center Grove, it's sort of like you can tell they've put a ton of work in, but it just seems like they're effortlessly doing it. Whereas with Carmel, you see them on stage and you're like, I can tell they put a ton of work in, and I can see it up there working right now, you know? And I really, really admire that about them because, like I said, you can see all the little details that they've put in. Center Grove has done that too, but I don't know. I guess Carmel, it just seems like they're intentionally, you can see them intentionally making that choice to make these style differences on stage. And it's so good. I said in my notes, so detailed, this choreography was so detailed, fit the songs really well, so much footwork and so much individual style throughout. And I think that goes with the choir, like obviously, and the director, and telling them like, hey, we are going for this style, try to do this. But also that just goes to show that all the kids that are in the choir are so talented in and of themselves. Basically, they are able to make that intentional decision to do a certain style choice or to really, really lock in on this footwork. And I don't know, it's just so good. I also said they have such a specific full tone that no other choir has, not even Center Grove. I think Center Grove is probably one of the loudest, most shocking groups you can listen to. It really is that whole wall of sound thing that people talk about. It's like boom, and they sing and you're like blown out of your seat. But I think Carmel is a lot more consistent in their tone and their tone quality and their blend. I think listening to them is just like pretty, you know? It feels good to listen to them, you know? They just have this tone that's so full, like throughout the whole show. Some choirs, obviously you can hit a chord and it sounds great, but with Carmel, every single note sounds great. It sounds full, it sounds complete, and I really, really, really like that about them. That's also, so obviously detailed choreo was most standout for me, but their vocals are amazing as well. That's obviously why they took both captions. I don't know. I thought it was so fun. I also said they did Friday at the Drive-In from The Outsiders. I was freaking out. This was like the fourth group that did an Outsiders song at this point, and I was like, oh my God, I'm so happy. Like, I was just happy that people are finally using these songs. I literally said in my notes, my life is awesome. Also, the use of their set was really good. They did have a big Route 66 sign, and obviously that's a little bit boring, but it had lights on it, and whenever they, like, certain songs or choreography, like, say the ending pose, they would, like, all turn around and, like, point towards the sign or something. I thought that was cute. And also they brought in, like, big Hollywood letters once they got to Hollywood. That was cute, too. I just really liked the vibe of this show. I thought it was fun, and I thought it was classic, and I enjoyed it. Okay, the last group that competed that I watched was Fisher's Electrum. Sorry, I was about to say sound. But they had a really cool murder theme at, like, a vintage party, and this has been, like, one of my dream themes since I was in middle school, so it was really cool to see it brought to life, and they used a lot of the songs that I would want to use. So I guess that isn't an option anymore for a future choir of mine. It's okay. Sad face. But No, I said I really liked their fun costumes. The first half of the show was really strong, but the second half left something to be desired. Felt like, I don't know, the first half was like really, really into their theme, and all the kids were really into it, and then the second half it kind of took a step back a little bit from the theme. I don't know. I obviously really liked it, but I don't know, just the second half, and maybe it was because I was just tired and done with watching choirs at this point, but I kind of felt like, oh, maybe there should have been a little bit more there. I did say I really enjoyed the details in the ballad. The cutoffs during the first half need to be stronger, but other than that, all the vocals were really good. They had a really cool violin feature, and I knew she was the killer from the start. Spoiler alert, sorry. But no, I knew it. I knew it. I think the choreo was really fun, and I enjoyed how they took advantage of the dance breaks. I think their choreographers are Eric and Mara, so it makes sense how their choreography was. I think it's anyone that's choreographed by Eric and Mara, your choreo is bound to be a little bit flowy and sort of, in vocal terms, legato. Like everything sort of connects, and there's not a ton of hits, but I think that their dance breaks really took advantage of the hits and the music and everything, and I like that. They also did Smooth Criminal, and their choreo was faster, but also just slightly similar to Edgewood Sophisticated Ladies. This year they're also doing that song. But we don't have to talk about that because I've already talked about that before. Also, they did Murder on the Dance Floor, which was so fun. I loved it. I really like that song, and I'm excited that a group did it. And then finally, Franklin Central FC Singers, I did watch their exhibition performance. Their theme is about a meadowlark, and a king takes her, and she's blind, by the way, and the king takes her and puts her in a cage, and then she's rescued by some guy from the meadow. I'm not quite sure. Someone. And basically he's like, come with me. And then the king's like, no, I love you. Come with me. And the meadowlark ends up choosing the king. And you should have heard the auditorium. They were freaking out. It was a big audience response. And then after that, they sing a ballad. And oh my God, the ballad. Don't talk to me, actually. The ballad was gorgeous. I loved it. And then they have talking, I know. But they had talking, and the girl was like, this teaches us a lesson that love blinds us, and we don't always choose what's best for ourselves, blah, blah, blah. I thought that was interesting. And they said that how after the meadowlark went with the king, she died. What the heck? And then, in the closer, it's a fun song again. And then the meadowlark comes out in this golden outfit, and I was like, didn't she die? But I think it's a good show for an audience response. It was fun. And overall, vocally, they are really, really strong. And I saw a comment, I think it was on showchoir.com, about how they think that Franklin Central is vocally one of the top two in the state, along with Carmel. And then they think Center Grove is visually and just overall one of the best in the state. And I 100% agree with that. 100% agree. I think that vocally Franklin Central is one of the most intricate and detailed groups in the state every year for the past couple years. I think they do such a good job at singing, and I love it. And I just love the stories that they tell with their shows. I do wish there wasn't talking, but whatever. I don't know. I really, really liked it. I think the costumes are really cool, although I wish we would stop wearing leotards in show choir, because we are not a dance competition, and these are high school children who don't always sign up for these costumes, whereas dancers, they do normally know that this is the kind of costume that they're going to be getting. Also, Franklin Central was barefoot again, so there was that. But I did see that the crew was sweeping and cleaning the stage before they went on to perform, and I highly appreciate that. Thank you, crew. Yeah, but I just think that vocally they're one of the strongest groups, and they're so pretty, and I love everything about them, and their ballad was gorgeous. And yeah, that's basically it for this competition. That's about everything, all the notes that I took. I pretty much fully agree with the mixed finals. Carmel did deserve that grand champ. Fisher's taking second. I think that Brownsburg and Fishers could almost be interchangeable, and then Plainfield taking fourth. I see it. So Not anything crazy there. But yeah, that's it for the competitions this past weekend. Looking ahead, we have Avon, Churubusco, Jay County, New Palestine, Pendleton. So that's 5 competitions in Indiana. And then we have Glenwood in Illinois, John Hersey in Illinois, Fairfield in Ohio, and then Solon in Ohio. So I'm going to go ahead and talk about those next. Okay, so that was a really long weekend recap. So let's go ahead and move on to the upcoming weekend, which will be taking place on, I believe, March 7th. So exciting. I'm going to begin with the Indiana competitions, and then later on I'm going to talk about Glenwood, John Hersey, Fairfield, and Solon. So the first competition in Indiana is the Avon Vocal Invitational. This is a 2-day event. They're having the small mixed division and small treble division go on Friday, and then they're having all the other divisions go on Saturday. So I'm going to go ahead and begin with Friday night. In the small mixed division, competing will be DeKalb Classic Connection, Beech Grove Jubilaires, Danville Community Varsity Voices, Batesville Singers, and Danville Delegation. So both Danvilles are going to be there. And then in the small treble division, there will be Danville Contemporaries and Southmont Sudden Impulse. Then on day 2, on Saturday, they're going to have the large mixed division, medium mixed, large treble, medium treble, and then middle school. But in the large mixed division, there will be Hamilton Prestige, Brownsburg, Spotlight Singers and Company, and Lawrence North Legacy. Then in the medium mixed division, there will be Northridge Northern Lights, Clover Hill New Dimensions, East Noble Night Rhythms, and Mooresville Spotlighters. Then in the large treble division, there will be Brownsburg Starlight Voices and Lawrence North Bella Bravada. Then in the medium treble division, there will be Mooresville Finesse, Clover Hill Iridescence, Northridge Starlights, and East Noble Premier Edition. Also, they're going to have a bass division with Brownsburg Dog Pound going to be there, so that's exciting. Also, looking at this competition, they will be taking 4 mixed and treble finalists. So I believe that just means from any division. I just say probably because they don't actually have it listed anywhere. I'm just going off of previous years. So I'm not 100%. So taking a look at this lineup, I think Grand Champion, whatever the finalists are going to be, I think Grand Champion's going to go to Brownsburg, Spotlight Singers and Company. Just because I really, really enjoyed their show, and looking at the records of some of the other schools that are competing, it just seems likely that Brownsburg's going to take Grand Champion. And that is basically it for this competition. So I'm going to go ahead and move on to the Churubusco Show Choir Invitational. This is a 1-day event. They're going to be taking 2 treble finalists and 5 mixed finalists. So just keep that in mind when I read these groups off. In the large mixed division, there will be Lafayette Jefferson First Edition, Homestead Class Royale, and Northrop Charisma. Then in the small mixed division, there will be Anderson Singers Unlimited, Lafayette Jefferson Acapella, Shelbyville Synergy, and Belmont Brave Generation. Then in the treble division, there will be Anderson Starlighters, Southside Sound Waves, Lafayette Jefferson Expressions, Homestead Elite, and Northrop Allure. So I think Grand Champion is most definitely gonna go to Lafayette Jefferson. They've had a great, amazing competition season, and I don't really see a way that they don't get first. This past weekend they were at they hosted, never mind. But the weekend before that, they were at Franklin Community, took first. Homestead took first. Carroll, they took second. I really don't see a way that they don't take Grand Champion at this one. But that's basically it for the Churubusco Show Choir Invitational. Moving on to the third Indiana competition. This is going to be the Jay County Show Choir Spectacular. At this competition, they are taking 2 treble and 5 mixed finalists as well. So basically the same as Churubusco. At this competition, in the large mixed division, there's only one group, that is Huntington North Varsity Singers. Then in the small mixed division, there will be Garrett Encore, Bishop Dwenger Summit Sound, Kenton Top 20, Crestview Night Vision, Columbia City Heat, Norwell Night Moves, Brown County Rhapsody, and Bishop Lure's Minstrels. Then in the treble division, there will be Columbia City Lights, Norwell Night Stars, and Huntington North Viking Volume. So, an exciting competition. I am a little bit confused because it says they're taking 2 treble and they have 3 treble groups. So, I mean, it's going to be a little bit sad when one group doesn't make it, but, that's how finals works. So, yeah, I mean, a pretty basic lineup. I mean, I don't really see anything crazy happening. I do think that Huntington North is going to take Grand Champion at this competition. And then I think it's going to be a little bit more competitive in the placements underneath that, just because a lot of these smaller Indiana groups, that's where the real competition's happening, rather than Huntington North, which is a little bit bigger. But yeah, that is it for Jay County. Moving on to the fourth Indiana competition. This is the New Palestine Clash of the Choirs. This is a one and done competition, and it's only taking place on Saturday. So starting in the large mixed division, there will be Decatur Central Golden Airs, Lawrence Central Central Sound, and Ben Davis Premiers. Then in the medium mixed division, there will be Anderson Prep Vocal Velocity, Monrovia Shooting Stars, Kokomo Charisma Singers, Roncalli Royal Rhapsody, Newcastle Red Hot Blues, and Batesville Singers. Then in the small mixed division, there will be Decatur Central New Direction, Greenfield Central Legacy, and Greensburg Community Elite Edition. Then in the large treble division, there will be Ben Davis Sounds, Decatur Central Expressions, and Lawrence Central Suites. And then in the small treble division, there will be Newcastle Dynamics and Southmont Sudden Impulse. So, as I said, this is probably a one and done competition, so we're not really going to get to see groups like Roncalli go against a group like Lawrence Central or Ben Davis. But still exciting. I do think that Grand Champion's probably, in large division at least, going to go to Ben Davis. They are just phenomenal. I really love watching them. As for the small or medium division, I do think Roncalli's probably going to take it. I'm surprised that Roncalli is attending this competition, because normally they really try to stay around in Indianapolis and like go against some of the bigger names, I guess. But I guess this will be a fun weekend for them, and I'm happy that they're going a little bit out of their comfort zone to New Palestine. So that's fun. Lastly, the last competition in Indiana is the Pendleton Heights Arabian Spectacular. This is also a one and done competition, and it's only taking place on Saturday. So, in the large mixed division, there's going to be Center Grove Sound System, Fisher's Electrum, Franklin Central FC Singers, and Lawrence Central Central Sound. A stacked lineup, if you ask me. Then, in the medium mixed division, there will be Columbus East Center Stage and Fairfield Fusion. In the small mixed division, there will be Center Grove Surround Sound and Franklin Central Encores, so just basically a bunch of JV groups. In the large treble division, there will be Lawrence Central Suites, Center Grove Debtones, Fisher's Sound, and Franklin Central High Voltage. The battle of the treble groups, we've got Center Grove, Fishers, and Franklin Central. So be on the lookout for results from that competition. Then in the medium treble division, there will be Washington Accents and Fairfield Expressions. And finally, in the small treble division, there will be Center Grove Accents, Franklin Community Legacy, Fisher's Accents, and Franklin Central Flight. So a lot of accents at this competition. Yeah, I mean, I don't really see anything crazy happening here. I mean, I do think Grand Champion is probably going to go to Center Grove. I mean, most likely. But I think there is a slight possibility, very, very slight, that a split caption could happen. I think Center Grove has Grand Champion in the bag. I think it's more so a matter of, could they possibly lose Best Vocals? I think if they do, it would probably be to Franklin Central. So, be on the lookout for that. Also, I think it's going to be really telling if Fisher's outplaces Franklin Central. We'll have to see. So, I'm excited for this competition. I think it's going to tell us a lot about where these groups are standing against each other right now. So, yeah, that's basically it. Moving on to the out-of-state competitions. Normally, I don't really talk about these, but a lot, as I said earlier in the intro, a lot of groups are traveling out of state this weekend, and I think it's just important to talk about that. Now, I am going to start with Glenwood, the event, which doesn't have any Indiana groups competing at it that I can tell, but since I'm already talking about another Illinois competition, I thought I might as well talk about this one too. So, we've Glenwood, the event. They're probably taking 5 mixed finalists and 3 treble finalists from what I can tell. I'm not 100% sure. In the large mixed division, there is Marquette Center Stage, there's Mount Zion Swing Stations, and there's Clinton Attaché. Big name right there. In the small mixed division, there's Springfield Collage, Crate Monet Cavaliers, Sullivan Singers, and Pekin Community Notables. Then in the treble division, there's Mount Zion You've Got Mail, which is an all-bass group. They have Westfield Illumination, and they have Mount Zion La Femme. So, looking at this lineup, I think Grand Champion's probably going to go to Clinton. It would be a shock if it doesn't. But exciting that Clinton is traveling up to Illinois. So, hopefully some good videos are taking place. There's a live stream that's going to be happening, so I'm excited to watch them, hopefully on the live stream. Moving on to the second Illinois competition, we have the John Hersey Chicagoland Showcase. This is where some of the Indiana groups are going to be at, so that's why I'm talking about this. For this competition, it seems like they're probably taking 5 finalists from any division, so we'll have to see if that's correct. In the large mixed division, there is Perrysburg the Swarm, Mentino Magic, Naperville North Entourage, Waubonsee Valley Soundcheck, Noblesville NHS Singers, El Paso Gridley Modulations, Chesterton Sandpipers, and Wheaton North Flight. Then, in the small mixed division, there's Piatone Powerhouse and Carmel Catholic Cadence. Then, in the treble division, there is Naperville North Vivint, Waubonsee Valley Resonance, El Paso Gridley High Fidelity, Noblesville New Dimension, and Chesterton Drifters. So, a really exciting lineup if you ask me. I think some of the big names to look out for are probably Noblesville NHS Singers and Wheaton North Flight. And I think Grand Champion is going to be between those two. I have looked into their records for this year, past couple years. I could see Noblesville taking it, but Wheaton North has been doing pretty good too. So, I don't know, guys. I really don't. And it doesn't help that I'm not super knowledgeable on Wheaton North. I know a little bit about them, but yeah. So, we'll have to see. I'm excited for this one. Moving on to the next competition. Now we are in Ohio. Yep, we're in Ohio. Even more Indiana groups going here. So we have the Fairfield Crystal Classic. This is also a one-day competition. From what I can tell, they're taking 3... All right, here we go. This is a lot of information, and it's hard to understand. So they're taking 5 small overall finalists. So 5 from either the small treble or the small mixed. Then they're taking 3 large treble finalists, and then they're taking 5 overall large or medium mixed finalists. Okay, does that make sense? Okay, so in total they're taking 13 finalists, but 5 small from any small division, 3 large treble, and then 5 large or medium mixed. Okay, so just to get that out of the way, because it is a little bit confusing. In the large mixed division, there is Millard West Swing Cats, Loveland by Request, Plainfield Ballet Beau, Zionsville Royal Airs, Brandon Brio, and Millard West West in the Groove. Then, in the medium mixed division, there's Edgewood Music Warehouse, Tees Valley Prominent Rendition, and Ross Legacy. Then, in the small mixed division, there is Buckeye Valley Visions, Whitehall Yearling, Music Unlimited, Norwood The Silhouettes, Middletown Purple Pizzazz, West Jessamine Duly Noted, and Tarpon Springs Syndicated Sound. Then, in the large treble division, there is Edgewood Sophisticated Ladies, Loveland Allure, Plainfield Femme Patel, Millard West Uptown, Zionsville Corlairs, and Brendan Brio. Then, in the small treble division, there's one group. It's West Jessamine Fortissima. So, a really, really stacked lineup. They're having 2 venues competing and running at the same time, so I think that'll definitely help keep this competition moving along. I've heard lots of great things about this competition, actually, and lots of Indiana groups traveling here. We've got Plainfield, Zionsville, we've got Edgewood, and then Ross sometimes competes in Indiana, but they are technically an Ohio school. But yeah, lots of groups traveling here. We've got Brandon Brio coming up from, I believe it is Mississippi. Yes, it is. So yeah, I mean, they're really pulling in people from everywhere, and I think that's really exciting. I'm glad that so many groups are getting a chance at finals, so that's also pretty exciting. So yeah, I think looking at this competition, I think Grand Champion is possibly going to be Zionsville. I could see it being Zionsville. Also, it's going to be really close. Top 3, it's going to be between Zionsville, Brandon, and Millard West. Okay? That's what I've been getting. Like I said, I'm really only super knowledgeable on Indiana groups, so I cannot tell you with 100% certainty that it's going to be Zionsville, but from looking at their records so far, I could see it being them. I could see it being Brandon, but that one I'm a little less confident on. And then Millard West I could see also doing really well at this competition. So, that's a quick overview for the Fairfield Crystal Classic. And moving on to the final competition taking place this weekend. This is also taking place in Ohio. It's the Solon Show Choir Invitational. I'm talking about this one because, like I said, I'm already talking about the other Ohio competition, so I might as well talk about this one, So, at this competition, they're going to be taking 6 mixed finalists. That's it. I don't think they're taking any treble. But In the large mixed division, there's going to be Findlay First Edition, Marysville Swingers Unlimited, and Grove City Touch of Class. Then in the medium mixed division, there's going to be Edgewood Corollaires, Garfield Heights Music Express, Mayfield Limited Edition, Medina, Encore Entertainment Company, North Royalton Royal Harmony, and Twinsburg Great Expectations. Then in the small mixed division, there's going to be Mentor Top 25, Walsh Just Sweet, Harmony Gold, Ada Varsity Singers, and Euclid Varsity Chorale. Then in the treble division, there's going to be Twinsburg Blue Harmony, Grove City Class Act, and Marysville Swingers Select. So lots of groups attending this, especially in the medium mixed division. So that's exciting. Taking a look at Grand Champion. I think Grand Champ's probably going to go to Findlay just because, and I say this just because Findlay, I believe it was, took Best Vocals and Best Choreography from Solon. And so Findlay totally swept over Solon. But Marysville took Best Choreography from them? Yeah. Marysville only took Best Choreography, whereas Findlay swept Solon. So I think at this moment, Fairfield's probably going to take Grand Champ, but I could totally see a split caption between Findlay and Marysville. So we'll have to see. I don't know. This is going to be an exciting competition, especially with a bunch of the Ohio groups. So I'm looking forward to it. And that is the last competition taking place in Indiana this weekend. So I know it was a lot. I'm sorry. But it's looking to be a super exciting weekend in Indiana and around Indiana. So just keep an eye out. And I don't know. I mean, I'm just excited to see how everything turns out. Thank you all so much for tuning in. I know today's episode was a little bit long and repetitive. There was just a lot of information to get out. Like I said, 4 Indiana competitions this past weekend. We had, I believe, 5 in Indiana this upcoming weekend. And then I had 4 out-of-state ones because a lot of groups are traveling out of state. So just a lot of information. As always, I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. If you have any suggestions or you want anything specific included in future episodes, just leave a comment. Literally send a message. I have a showcore.com account. I have my Instagram. I have my personal Instagram. I have YouTube comments. Literally, there's so many ways to contact me if you ever want to. I really appreciate the people that do reach out just to say like, hey, I listen to your podcast, really like this part, or hey, like even some people message me to give me information. Just be like, hey, this happened here. And I'm like, oh, thanks. I'll include that in the podcast, stuff like that. So, literally anything like that. I'm so down. And, with that, I think that's about it. Make sure you guys go, check out the YouTube and the Instagram. Let your friends and family know that, episodes are available on YouTube if you want to watch there. But also I mainly use Spotify to post my episodes. And I think that is everything. So, thank you all so much for tuning in. And I hope your week is full of show choir.